In today's video, we'll be making the yummiest and tastiest okra soup recipe ever. Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, you're absolutely welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, please do make your way and have a seat. Let's go through the ingredients, shall we? So I'm making use of some okra, of course, that's the style of our ingredient. I'm using the long okra. You can use the short one, anyone that works for you. Just make sure it's fresh and it's a very good one. Next up, we'll be using some pepper mixture. I'm using some onion, I'm using some Tatashe, I'm using some Scotch bonnet, and I'm using some Shombo, that's also chili pepper. I washed them, cleaned them, and de-seeded them. Next up, we'll be using some cow skin, also known as Ponmo, as part of our protein of choice. And I'll be using some goat meat. Of course, guys, goat meat is a staple for any of my local dishes, very fresh and cleaned. Next up, we'll be using some ejakika, also known as panla, that I will be deboning later on and will be adding to the soup. And then we'll be using some fresh palm oil, some very clean Okro crayfish, some Ugwu for that extra taste, some seasoning cube, and some salt. Then for our vegetable of choice, we'll be using some Uziza leaves and some Ugwu leaves that I have nicely chopped. So that's all of our ingredients. Very simple, very easy. So let's get right into the cooking process, shall we? So in my clean pot, I added my goat meat. I'm going in with some peppers. If you know me, you know I always like to season my protein with some pepper. I added some onion, some seasoning cube, and some salt. Because we're making a local dish, it's always preferable to keep your ingredients your spicing very simple, so you don't tamper with the natural taste of the soup. So I give that a very good stir to let it combine, and then I'll cover it and let it cook to release its moisture. After like 10 to 15 minutes, you can see the water that has come out of it, which is very good and okay. I'll go in with more water to be able to cook your meat properly. You want your meat soft and not hard so that you don't struggle when you're enjoying your soup. Is that okay? Give that a stir, and we're going to cover that to cook a bit more until it's about 70% cooked. Alright, our meat is boiling nicely. At this point, I'm going to add my Ponmo, that's my cow skin, and that's because I don't want it to overcook. This is just the best time, and then so that you'll be able to come out together with the meat when it's ready. So while that is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and roughly grate my okra. Now if you have a food processor, that works wonders. You can easily do that, but I always want to use, I do not, so I'm using my my grater for that. I'm using that big side chunk just to get, you can use any size you want depending on how big or how small. This just works for me, and so I'm going to go ahead and grate it. Now one thing I like to do, I like to have a part of my okra grated, and then a very small amount of it I like to chop it up in big chunks. You're going to see that later on. I'll chop that up so that when you're eating your soup, you can always have that crunchy effect not on your soup. You can always feel the okra, a bit of the okra. So this is it. So I got like 5 pieces of my okra, and I'm going to nicely chop that up for extra chunk. All right. So this is what it looks like. This is my grated okra, and then this is my chopped. You're going to see how it works wonders for the, just keep watching. All right, so we're going to go back and check on our meat. At this point, it is thoroughly cooked, you can see, and that stock is what we need as our stock for our soup. Is going to come in handy. So I'm just going to take out the proteins from the water, separate them, and then keep them side by side. So this is our protein and this is our stock. Check out that juicy stock. Comes in very handy for this meal, I promise you. We're going to set that aside, and then in a pot on low heat, just watch this process. You're going to enjoy it, because this is one that will make your soup draw very well. So I'm going to go in with that grated okra and some water. With your pot on low heat, you're going to mix that up continuously for like 10 to 15 minutes. This process does wonders to making your soup draw, I bet you. If you've not tried this before, please try it and you will thank me. I added a bit of water and I stirred that. If you have a whisk, that works wonders. So you see the way I'm beating it. You beat it like that for the next 10 to 15 minutes and then you take it off from the heat. Now to our cooking proper. In a clean pot, we're going to go with some palm oil and then we're going to let that simmer and then going with some onion. I know some people always say they don't add onion or it's not good to add onion to your okra soup. Well, I do and it comes out really nice. So I'm going to fry that okra in that oil until it becomes translucent. Next up, I'm going to go in with my iro and I'm going to fry that until it begins to release its flavor into the oil and it begins to smell really nice. So you want to fry that and you want to keep stirring so that it doesn't burn and alter the taste of your soup. I added everything because I felt like, well, what's the need? More of that, more sweetness. And so I went in with more of the iro, stirred that up, and then I added my crayfish. At the point where you add your crayfish, you want to make sure that you stir very well and do not let it burn, because once your crayfish burns, it's going to alter the taste of your soup. Next up, I'm going to go in with my pepper mix. This has just pepper, just plain pepper. That's Tatashe, onion, rodo, and Scotch bonnet. Turn that around, stir that, and let it fry until it becomes dry. You see the oil popping up, and then you're sure that it's dry. Then we're going to go in with our fish, the boned fish, and our protein. That's our goat meat and our Ponmo, and give this a stir. I'm going to stir to combine that very, very well, as you can see me do. So you can see we're going to let that cook so that it goes into the sauce, goes into the meat. You're stirring continuously to ensure that it doesn't burn. I hope you can see that we're almost done with our cooking, I promise you. Next up, we are going to throw in that okra. Remember that okra that we parboiled, that we stirred? Exactly, it's going to go right into the soup right now. And we're going to turn all of that and go ahead and stir the soup and mix everything up together. At this point, it was getting thick, or it was thick rather, and then I went in with that rich stock that works wonders. So I added that stock and then I stirred that thoroughly. You can see our soup is already coming together. We are 90% done. Then I went in with that crunchy okra that I chopped. Went in with some crayfish, extra crayfish, some seasoning cube and some salt, just to balance the whole meal. Stirred that thoroughly. I added my Uziza at this point, but I lost the clip, so I'm just going to stir. You want to stir to make sure that everything is thoroughly combined. Leave to cook for like 2 minutes. You can always test for seasoning. And finally, I'm going in with my Ugwu leaves. You give that a stir, and guys, your okra soup is ready. Look at this rich soup, yummy and fresh. You can enjoy it with any swallow of your choice, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and give this a thumb up. And I'll see you in my next one. All right, take care.